Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Um, it's that time where I'm going to go over um, my thoughts in the college football world, and specifically, I want to talk about the head coaching hires and the quarterback carousel. I've been waiting until it's all been done to kind of go over it, but there's one thing that happens after another, like Saban retiring, Jim Harbaugh go off to the NFL. But now, hopefully, at least I think all the coaching hires are done at this point. We'll see. Never say never. But I think it's all done now. Um, let's get started. I'm not going to go over every single coaching hire, especially since there were a lot of them. But I do want to go over a couple ones that I thought were good hires, and a couple ones I thought, okay, they missed the ball there. Let's get started with good hires. I thought Alabama, Nick Saban retires. What are you going to do? I feel like they didn't panic, and they made one of the best hires available in Kalen DeBoer from Washington. I feel like that was an excellent hire. DeBoer has won everywhere he's been as a head coach. He's won multiple championships at the lower ranks level, so he knows how to win. And then like at Washington, like he was just dominant his 2 years there as head coach. So I definitely like that for Bama. Now the one worry I would have for DeBoer is that he's not a Southern guy. He's more he's coached at Indiana's offense coordinator in the Midwest, but frankly, in the lower ranks level, and then at Washington, he's been more of a West Coast guy. Um, so I do kind of wonder like that gonna work. I mean, you don't have to be Southern to coach in the SEC, but it definitely helps, and all that. So I kind of am curious to see how that work out. Um, Another coaching hire I thought was good was Washington. It's like, oh crap, Kalen DeBoer is gone. Are we gonna fall back into irrelevancy as we're going to the Big Ten? It's like, nope. Jed Fish was a great hire. He's obviously built up Arizona every single year. If he were to stay at Arizona this upcoming year, I feel like he could have easily won the Big 12 championship in year one. So I definitely like this move for Washington. It was the most logical hire, best hire to make, and they did it. Um, I, I assume he's gonna, and I assume being at Washington, it won't take him as long as he did in Arizona to kind of build the program. Maybe being the Big Ten makes it a little bit harder, but I definitely like the hire there for Washington. I feel like that's a great hire there. I have no complaints about that hire whatsoever. Um, Another good hire I felt like was Michigan State going after Jonathan Smith, the Oregon State head coach. It made sense for him to leave because even though he's an Oregon State alum, it's like, well, Oregon State's kind of like in the abyss, not getting an invite to the Big 12 or Big 10 like the other Pac-12 schools did. It made sense for him to leave. And Michigan State, they had one good year with Tucker, but otherwise it's kind of been, irrelevant for a while. And John Smith has proven, he can do this at Oregon State of all places. He can build them up into a respectable team. And Michigan State, that's like not a bad place at all to recruit and stuff, especially now that Jim Harbaugh's gone. Not every single Michigan's going to automatically go to Michigan anymore. So I feel like that was a good hire there for Michigan State. Um, Another hire that I thought um, it's risky, but I feel like it definitely has a high reward. Is Mississippi State hired Jeff Lebby, the Oklahoma offensive coordinator, because he's been offensive coordinator, I think at Tennessee, and then also at Oklahoma, like I just said, and he's produced high-powered offenses. So I feel like he's a better fit than what promoting that defensive coordinator was this past year. Like Jeff Levy could continue on what Mike Leach was kind of going there, but since Levy's younger and all that, he can be more innovative and maybe get more out of it than what Leach was getting out of it towards the end of his career there. But again, that's a risky hire, but I still like the hire. Um, for me, as far as there's not too many more like P5 hires I like to ask for Michigan. It made sense to promote the offensive coordinator to head coach since he won 3 games when Harbaugh was just actually won multiple games when Harbaugh was suspended last year. But I think that was more talent based than actual him. So we'll kind of see on that. Now, as far as G5 teams, I feel like they made a pretty good hire. I like the hire Tulane made. The Tulane head coach goes to take the Houston head coaching job, um, which for Houston I thought that was a decent hire, not great hire, but decent hire. Um, so for Tulane, it's like, well, we want to still like we've had a couple years of good success, around. We want to keep that going, and to steal Troy's head coach was an excellent move because, to be honest, like Tulane's not that much of a bump over Troy to where a head coach should want to leave that, but he did. So I thought that was a great hire. Another G5 hire that I liked was New Mexico hiring Bronco Mendenhall, the former BYU and Virginia coach. One thing we know about Bronco Mendenhall, he is great at taking bad programs and getting them to be respectable and relevant. Now, he usually doesn't get over the hump and like going like, oh, you're going like above and beyond, but he gets them to where they're consistently good. And New Mexico hasn't been good in a long time. So, and Bronco Mendenhall actually used to be the defense coordinator in New Mexico back like 20 years ago. So he definitely already has the history there. But I feel like that was an excellent hire for New Mexico, to kind of like, try to get them in the upper echelon of the Mountain West. Because obviously Boise State's going to be good every year, but besides that, it's like it fluctuates every year. One year it could be Utah State, one year it could be San Diego State, one year it can be Wyoming. You just never know. Another G5 hire I liked was San Jose State hiring Ken Niumatalolo for the former Navy head coach. I feel like I feel like it was time for a change in Navy, but I didn't like the way it happened in Navy, especially since Navy hasn't improved that much at all since he's left. But I feel like San Jose State, it was kind of a last minute coaching hire since the head coach left for the Arizona job. So you're looking for someone last minute, and in this case, you get someone with a bunch of head coaching experience. Now, and I feel like the triple option thing, may work, because Air Force, who's in their own conference, does the triple option, and Air Force is usually a good team in the Mountain West. I feel like he can implement what at San Jose State what he can at the military academies, and maybe it can work out there. And then last but not least, one more head coaching hire I thought that was pretty decent was most recent one, Bill O'Brien for Boston College. Now, I'm not saying Bill O'Brien's going to get Boston College to be ACC contenders every year, but I feel like he can definitely get. But they were kind of like that like great defense, respectable like 8-4, 9-3 type of teams usually. But then they just kind of took a dip with the last head coach. They finally got bowl eligible last year, but still just was not great program the last 3-4 years. But I feel like he can kind of get them to at least respectable level because at Penn State, he was a good head coach at Penn State. And obviously he has a bunch of experience in the NFL. So that's for the coaching hires there. Now for the quarterback carousel. Obviously, again, I'm not going to go over every single one. There's a lot of quarterback carousel, a lot of quarterback changes. Let me tell you which ones I thought was a home run one. The first one being Riley Leonard, the Duke quarterback, to go to Notre Dame. That was an excellent move by Notre Dame. Now, Riley Leonard, he wasn't like, he had obviously other options, but he was kind of like determined to go to Notre Dame, basically. Like, he just liked the program already, so therefore it was kind of easy to get him. But nevertheless, you got to get what you can get. The reason why I like it is because Riley Leonard changed, Duke for 2 years, made them relevant. And if Riley Leonard didn't get injured all last year, I feel like Duke could have easily been playing in the ACC title game instead of Louisville against Florida State. Like they were that good. They had Florida State on the ropes when he was playing, and then he got injured, and all of a sudden Florida State came back and won. And that was before their quarterback got hurt. So I definitely feel like Riley Leonard is a good quarterback. Now, for Notre Dame, the one concern you have, if you're them, is that he has an injury. He got injured a lot last year, so you have to hope that he can keep himself healthy this time. Because if he can, then Notre Dame can make the playoffs. But if he can't, then you're out of luck. Another quarterback change I thought was interesting was Will Howard, the Kansas State quarterback, transferring to Ohio State. And it makes it even more interesting when, Chip Kelly leaves the UCLA head coaching job and takes the OC job there. And they've brought in a whole bunch of other good transfers and recruiting numbers. So Will Howard, he's won Kansas State Big 12 championship. Now can he, do it at a more premier program and do it at the highest levels. That'll be kind of interesting to see there. Um, Another quarterback change I thought was pretty interesting was DJ Ukulele to go to Florida State. Um, to me, this is kind of the one where you know, I don't love this move for Florida State. It's like, yes, you bring an experienced QB, yes, he's fine, but he's definitely a downgrade over Jordan Travis, who you had last year. I mean, since the ACC is kind of weak, maybe you can maybe you can get by with DJ Ukulele. But to me, it's like you're automatically gonna have a ceiling there, and it's not going to be playoffs. And if you do happen to win your conference, get the automatic bid, then you're going to be one and done in the playoffs. You're not going to be able to go as far as you could with Jordan Travis. Again, it's going to be hard. It's hard to replace Jordan Travis, but there's definitely options that could have been better than DJ Ukulele, in my opinion. Another interesting option, one of my favorite options, was Dylan Gabriel to Oregon. I thought that was an excellent move by Oregon to get him, because then now we're basically not going to have any drop off whatsoever, um, from Bo Nix to Dylan Gabriel, because Dylan Gabriel could do everything that Bo Nix can. Now, the only downgrade maybe is that since Dylan Gabriel is like smaller, not as thick as Bo Nix, maybe Gabriel gets more, like, has a higher chance to get injured and all that. But besides that, I love the move for Dylan Gabriel. And I feel like he's going to do just fine at Oregon. Another one that was interesting is Kyle McCord, the Ohio State quarterback, going to Syracuse. That was a eyebrow raiser for me. Now, Syracuse, if you look at their schedule, it's actually a quite manageable schedule, to where since Kyle McCord is there, maybe they could do something. But like, you're going to a place where they're not usually competing for ACC championships by any means. They're just trying to get eligible, and the head coach is a rookie head coach and a defensive guy, even offensive guy. And I just thought that was a weird move. It's like, you wanted to go to play. I mean, obviously, anywhere you go after Ohio State's most likely is going to be a little bit of a downgrade. But I thought, okay, you could have. I mean, you went level one Ohio State. You could have gone to a little bit better location than Syracuse there. No disrespect to Syracuse, but like, you could have gone like Florida State or something. Like, you could have done something better, than Syracuse. So I thought that was interesting. Jaden Mayava, the UNLV quarterback, going to USC, I thought was a really good move there, because he can do a lot of good things like Caleb Williams. I mean, obviously not Caleb Williams, but he can do a lot of similar things, good things that Caleb Williams could do. So the offense doesn't really have to change much at all, because the guy who played in the bowl game, he's more of like elite pocket passer type, so you would have to change the offense. So I like the move there from Lincoln Riley to get him. Now, of course, their defense is still the issue, but again, at least you did something good there. You got a nice protected quarterback. Cameron Ward to Miami, I thought was an excellent move for Miami, because the reason why they haven't taken that next step since Cristobal's been there has been because of quarterback play. So as long as you get good quarterback play from Cameron Ward, which I think you will, being his final year in college, I do feel like Miami can now be one of the contenders in the ACC because of it. Now one bad one, I thought, not bad one, but one that questioned, was Tyler Van Dyke, the Miami quarterback, going to Wisconsin. I thought that was weird. It's like, that's kind of like when I thought, like, Graham Mertz, the Wisconsin quarterback that went to Florida last year. It's just like, okay, yes, he obviously has some talent and he's done some good things, but like, he can't beat the big boys. He doesn't have a lot of great wins under his belt. He hasn't produced well in clutch situations. I just thought it was a weird, like, Tyler Van Dyke's been benched multiple times. Like, I thought that was so weird. Now, of course, Wisconsin's a heavy running team, anyways, and all, but I just thought that, but their style, I just thought that was super weird. It was hard to explain there. Now, some like hidden gem options. One is on the G5 level for Boise State. They got a former 5-star USC quarterback who just transferred. Now, he's not on my list here, because for the quarterbacks on my list, I'm talking about quarterbacks that have actual legit experience in college. But that's one to keep your eye on. Another one to keep your eye on was KJ Jefferson, the Arkansas quarterback, going to UCF. KJ Jefferson did not ball out last year like he has the other years, but that was mainly because Arkansas, the weapons weren't reliable like he's used to in the past, but then also the offensive line was just a complete disaster. Um, and I feel like UCF's a better upgrade over Arkansas, so I definitely like that move there for them. Um, and then one also is Jerry Bohannon, the former Baylor quarterback who won that Big 12 championship a couple years ago in South Florida. He went to BYU, and the reason why I said that one's a hidden gem is because he won the Big 12 championship. Baylor decided, so I'm going to go to South Florida instead, which was puzzling to begin with. But it's like, okay, fine, whatever. And after a couple games, he gets injured and is out for the rest of the year, and then sat out all of last year as well. So he hasn't played in a while, but from a shoulder surgery. But if he's recovered well, then he showed that he can produce in the Big 12. And he was a high rated recruit coming out of high school and all that. I feel like that could be a hidden gem there. Because BYU, the reason why they didn't make a bowl game last year was because of quarterback play. So if he can just produce, then I feel like that could be a good one right there. Um, and then that's it for this podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you.